A former Imagineer has spoken out about what could have been in Star Wars land, that being Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Walt Disney World and Disneyland. It turns out we might have been able to ride a bantha, or something exactly like it. Let's talk about that on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, and I am here to talk about Disney World. Vash, do you know anything about the Disney Worlds?
Yeah, let's see. I think I do.
First, we're going to go to Batu, formerly known as X, formerly known as Twitter. Yes, we worked on this for years. This is Frank Mezzatesta. What a name. Or I don't know if it's Mezzatesta or what, but that's a cool name. Yes, we worked on this for over a year and was pretty far along, but it got cut as a cost-saving move. It would have been awesome. He is, of course, referring to this tweet here from Parkeology. When Disney World first announced Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Disney's Hollywood Studios, they promised giant alien creatures who would carry guests around the land, similar to Main Street vehicles. We can't imagine the lines, but if this existed, how long would you wait? That is so cool, first of all. That's not a bantha. I know that's not a bantha, but it certainly does remind me of a bantha.
Yes.
What about you?
It's a bantha-like creature. I think they wanted to have a some kind of organism distinct to Batu itself, but kind of evoke those kind of bantha-like looks right here. This would have been really, really cool. This was the third attraction that, interestingly enough, when Bob Chapek was going through the concept artwork in the lead up to the opening of this thing, this was one of the images that he stood in front of to show this in front of D23 Expo.
Well, yes, of course, there's a long tradition at Disney presentations of presenting blue sky concepts that never quite make it into the final product.
Right, and that's the really unfortunate part. But the what do you want to say? The fingerprints of it are actually still in place at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge here, for example. We're going to go back to your screen, but if Jim Shull actually pointed this out right here. You can see this archway right here, and you can see how tall it actually was. It's a little bit oversized given the experience they have now, but one of the reasons is because the bantha was actually going to go through this little alleyway here, and under this archway. And so it's the size that it is so that this can actually take place with this bantha type vehicle, which was really cool in its design. Apparently it was going to be a motion simulator on top, and it was going to be like a roaming vehicle would have taken you through the land from this kind of almost people mover type view. It's a really cool idea. Would have added a lot of kinetic energy that we don't see as part of Galaxy's Edge in this iteration
as opposed
right now.
to the current Galaxy's Edge, which is just kind of a large bare space that happens to have a lot of shops and a very long line trying to get into Rise of the Resistance or Smuggler's Run, the worst ride that has ever been made.
Yeah, yes, that is true right there. If you scroll down right here, you can actually see from this Imagineer what they were actually working on when it came to the mock-up on this.
Yeah, 9 years ago, facing the 5 freeway adjacent to the ABC building in Glendale for all to see, how big would the beast, as we called it, be, and how high would the guests be? New problem, how much more of the land would have to be finished out from their point of view. Now I see. Now I see the problem. So there are externalities here. It's often said that who was it that was so much taller than everyone else on the set of The Phantom Menace? Liam Neeson. That's right. Liam Neeson, that big hunk of man there, was taller than everyone else on the set. So the fact that he was taller than everyone else meant that they had to build the set an extra foot taller than it would have been originally. And so it cost them thousands, if not millions of dollars more on The Phantom Menace because they had to go farther before they could take set extensions.
Sure. And I will give the Walt Disney Company credit. Galaxy's Edge and the sight lines that are visible within the land are actually done to a very high standard and high quality. From almost every single angle, you are immersed into this world. And I think a large part of that had to do with the fact that, we were going to have this do-back type attraction. I guess I guess cutting that also led to some things that they didn't necessarily have to invest in.
Yep. Let's see what's. Oh, and here's Jim Shull again. Introducing the giants creatures to Galaxy's Edge is possible. The land is built to accommodate the ride vehicle beasts. The station location is set, and the technology is understood. A relatively cheap way to plus the existing land. I don't know that that's the case. I don't know that it's relatively cheap to introduce this, but he says, good point, could always be introduced in the future. If it is, I will be first in line. And then here, Parkeology says, a shame.
I agree. It is so sad because there's actually video of them with this mock-up right here. I'm going to go ahead and
cool.
play
Please
it here.
go ahead.
This is from
Of
from
course
Disney.
you do, Vash. Of course you do. You have something for everything we talk about.
Hey, I kept track of this like you wouldn't believe. So I remember all this little stuff. I remember the seeds they would plant, like, oh, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. It's gonna be so cool. Interestingly enough, like for example, there's no music. There's no Star Wars music in Galaxy's Edge. And a lot of people are like, why is that? Why can't we get any music? Well, it was never designed to have any music because they were going to have entertainment acts provide the music and the ambiance that you hear as you're going around Galaxy's Edge. When those actors got cut, so did that concept, and that's why we have no music. So I know all of this stuff, but this is a little clip here that Theme Park Stop put in their video.
It does look more like a dewback when you have no fur on it.
Right. Looks like a dewback, and you can see a little motion right here from that Imagineer who was testing it right there with that joystick right there.
Oh, that's so nauseating just thinking about it.
Right? Yeah. I think they were trying to get that dialed in, but you can see the range of motion that they were trying to have for this thing. Maybe a little bit too much at that point, but you can see what they were going for. And that's cool. Why it's so unfortunate that this thing died. This here from Park Stop right here, the Bantha ride as part of the promises of Galaxy's Edge that never came to fruition.
If I was that teeny tiny little guy in the corner, I'd be scared that I might get a little bit of Bantha slobber on me.
I'm telling you, but he was in front of this.
I do hear that it promotes hair growth.
Yes, which I guess that little guy could take advantage of, but he eventually did. Right? He grew it. He just grew it underneath the chin instead of over.
Right. His Obadiah Stane moment.
Yes.
All right. Let's stop comedy hour with Jonas Campbell here. Let's move on.
Yes. But this a whole article that goes through the broken promises of Galaxy's Edge, this being the Bantha ride right here, and it's really cool that we have now more information about this thing because I think a lot of it was pie in the sky. But you can see here, thanks to some behind the scenes Imagineering footage, we can see how the ride mechanics were being designed to make it feel like you were riding on a four-legged creature. According to Jim Hill of the Disney Dash podcast, the attraction would utilize a trackless ride path, so it would really seem like you were riding an alien creature and not just some ride vehicle. So maybe the animal, he sees some food or something, and he goes over there for a little bit, kind of off the beaten path. And so it would have been not only a really cool scenic adventure, one including motion, but also kind of be different every single time. I think that's the real brilliance of this thing, and unfortunately, just never came to be.
Oh, that sounds really cool. And I was Joe Rohde involved in this in any way?
I don't think he was. I think the rumor was that he was actually working on the new Tomorrowland project for Disneyland around this time. So that's where his skills are being utilized.
All right. Well, this is one of those things that I really like this idea, and I wish they would do things like this. But I think currently the Walt Disney Company is looking to do things either as cheaply as possible or as quickly as possible or as cheaply for as long as possible. And then in order to save the company's stock price, they will pump as much money as they can in order to have a headline. We're looking at you, Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I can't even imagine how much the cost of speeding this thing up is for your current park spend.
Oh come on, Jonas. They're not necessarily going to dedicate more money to getting it done quickly. They're just going to have the same thing be done in less time. That's what they're probably going to do, which is unfortunate. But there were so many great concepts there. I mean, the restaurant, for example, you can actually see if you look at an aerial photo of Galaxy's Edge, this little square that's perfectly around the back half of Oga's Cantina. Oga's Cantina was the lounge to sit up for the restaurant that was taken away, and we never got, which would have added so much of a certain energy to Galaxy's Edge that it sorely needs, right? This bantha attraction, the music, the actors that would interact with you. This place, I think, would have been a living, breathing thing with shows, stunt shows as well. There were stunt performers who were actually working on choreography for these shows. It would have been so much more dynamic, even if it had been themed to the sequel trilogy. But alas, we just never got a lot of it.
Yep, and now, I hate to say it, Galaxy's Edge is essentially a large outdoor mall that is highly themed and has a couple of rides, but those rides go down. Well, one of those rides goes down consistently, and the other one is a video game in which the controls are spaced out between 4 people.
Six.
So 6. Oh, sorry, I missed a couple of seats there. Apparently,
yeah. Well, the movie did too.
I'll drown my tears in a little bit of blue or green milk. That being said, you guys, this is the kind of thing that I love that Vash is here on That Park Play, so we can talk about this. Like this video if this is the kind of video that you like, because this is a little different than what we usually talk about, because we get to go deep into the theme park knowledge. Of course, share it out if you know someone who is interested in this attraction and a little bit more history than you might be getting from other places. And of course, consider subscribing to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media account.